Unit tests are really helpful for verifying specific code, and Rust makes it especially easy and really straightforward to implement these unit tests. Therefore, in this video, we are going to take a quick look at how you can get started with unit tests in Rust. So let's just get started. So let's just first clarify the question, what even are unit tests? Now, it's quite simple. Unit tests are basically written to check the functionality of a specific section of code. And usually this is at the function or module level. And this really means that you basically test certain functionality in isolation, or you're just testing small units in isolation, so that in the end developers can really verify that individual parts of the program are basically correct and work as expected. Now, to see how unit tests really work right here, we are going to look at a really simplified use case, and it will be a simple e-commerce caching logic. So we're going to introduce a TTL expiration and write multiple unit tests to really guarantee the behavior from kind of different angles. And what we will do with this project or this use case is we will mainly ignore this main function, because we will only test our code with unit tests and not with the main function, right? Obviously, you can refactor the code such that this whole code, which we will write in a minute, will be in a separate file, but I will really simplify things for now. So what we can do is just create a struct which we will call cache entry, and we really start by defining this cache entry to act as a wrapper around our tax rate. Now, the tax rate is really important because this will be our use case. Obviously, we will not really simulate a whole e-commerce store, and we will only kind of simulate the tax cache. And the cache entry will contain a rate which will be of type F64, and this is the actual tax rate we want to store in our cache. And then we also have the expires at field, which will be of type instant. And this is just the exact moment in time when this specific entry becomes invalid. Okay, let's just define the tax cache. So we will say struct and then tax cache. And right here, again, really simplified, we are just going to use a hash map as the store, and the key is just a string, which will be the region, and the value is the cache entry. So we say string and cache entry. Quite simple. And then we also define the TTL, so time to live. So we basically know how long new entries stay fresh. So we say TTL and then duration. All right, quite cool. So let's just have the implementation of our tax cache. We will have the new function right here, and the parameter will be TTL seconds, which will be of type U64, and then this will return self, so a new tax cache. And then we say tax cache, quite simple, and then store hash map new, right? So it's just a completely new and empty hash map. And then TTL duration from secs, and then we will say TTL seconds. And right here we just convert that simple U64 into a proper Rust duration object. And this is our basic constructor, nothing really fancy. Now let's just quickly declare a method which we will call getRate, and this will basically be on the mutable self reference right here. And then another parameter will be the region, and this will be of type reference string, and then it will return an option of type F64. And this is basically where we retrieve data. And notice that this takes a mutable reference, which will be self in this case. Now we need mutability right here, because if we find an expired entry, we are going to delete it immediately. And generally in Rust, a value that might be missing is represented by the option enum. So it's either some value or none, right? So first things first, we are just going to check if the region even exists in our hash map. So we're going to say if let sum and then entry is equal to self store get region. And the immutable borrow right here from get just ends before we call remove. So the borrow checker really is happy about that. We will actually see what that means in a minute. But then in the end, we will just return none right here to just get rid of this weird error. Now, if the region really exists, we are going to check the clock. So basically, is the current time still before the expiration time? And we say instant now. So if instant now is less or equal to entry.expires at, and if it does, we're going to say return some entry rate. Quite simple. So it's still fresh, and then we're going to just return the rate wrapped in this sum. And right here, this instant basically uses a monotonic clock. So it will never really jump backwards. So our TTL logic here is kind of safe. All right, quite cool. And then in the end, we are just going to say self.store.remove and then region. Right, so if we reach this point, either the entry point really didn't exist, so the entry region didn't exist, or it was expired. And we call remove right here to just clean out the stale data. So if it really didn't exist, this just safely does nothing. And then again, finally, we are just returning none right here to tell the caller we don't really have a valid rate. All right, let's just declare the set rate method. Again, we will use mod self right here, reference, and then region string, and then the tax rate, which will be of type F64. So we are going to put data into the cache right here. So let's just calculate the exact expiration time by just taking the current moment and adding our TTL. So we say let expire z and then is equal to instant now and then plus self.ttl. And then we simply just insert the new cache entry into our hash map. And if the region already existed, this naturally overrides the old value. So we say self.store.insert and then region and then cache entry as the value and then rate expires at. This is just fine. All right, this is our setup. This is how our setup looks. Now let's just get into the unit tests. And we are going to basically add unit tests by having a separate module, which we will call tests. So we say mod tests right here. So right now the aim is to kind of verify that our logic right here we've actually implemented actually works, right? And like I said earlier, this is our test module, and this is how we generally organize code in Rust, and wrapping our tests in a module is a standard Rust convention. And right here we are just going to add this CFG and then test, and we are going to put this above the module to just tell Rust to only compile this code if we are currently running tests. So this really means that the test code will not really accidentally get packaged up into your final published app, keeping your app in the end really small and fast. All right, now in here we are just going to use super. Now this just generally means that we are going to bring all accessible items into our test module scope. So we can basically call text cache new and set rate and all that stuff. And let's just declare our first unit test. And generally we are defining unit tests with this macro and then this test right here. And then we have the function name or the test name, which we will call test, cache, stores and retrieves value. And in the first test, we basically want to prove that if we put a value into the cache, we can immediately get it right back off. And this hashtag and then test just means that we define a test for Rust right here. And when we run cargo test, Rust just looks for these tags and runs those functions. And this is, by the way, also called an attribute, which basically is essentially a tag that gives special instructions to the compiler. And by the way, the name right here can be pretty much everything you want, so it does not really have to start with test underscore. But starting with test underscore is a very common community habit, and it just makes things easier to read as well. Okay, so let's just declare a cache because we want to kind of test the functionality. So we create a new test and set a generous TTL of 60 seconds, for instance. So let mod cache is equal to text cache new and then 60, right? This ensures basically our test will not really time out while it runs. And then we say cache.set rate. Let's just say New York, for instance. And then we say 0.0887. And right here we need to call to string. And with this line, we just insert some dummy text rate for New York, for instance. All right, and then we are going to use a built-in macro in Rust, which will be the assert equal macro. And right here we will call cache.getRate, and the region is New York. And then we will use sum and then 0.0887. Right, so basically the same value as this one right here. So we just want to assert if we can retrieve the value from the getRate function, right? And if we can really store things in the cache, and it is actually stored in the cache. And this assert equal macro right here, like I said earlier, is a built-in macro in Rust. and it takes two values and just compares them. And if they are equal, the program silently moves on, and if they are not equal, it causes the program to panic. Now we assert that when we ask for the New York's weight, and what we assert right here is basically the rate of New York, and we get exactly what we put in, right? And this is the kind of expectation we want right here. And notice we are kind of comparing against this sum value, right? Because get rate returns an option. So we need to respect this one as well. Now there's another macro which we could use, or you could use, and it is the assert macro right here. There are just a few other macros as well. So for instance, we can use assert, and you can basically use this when you just want to check if something is true or false. So we can say 5 is bigger than 3, for instance. Or we can even say assert NE, and then we have A and B, for instance. And this is just used when you want to assert that two things are not equal to each other, right? But let's just get rid of these two. And let's just add one more unit test right here. And we are just going to test the expiration. So we say test cache expires stale data, right? And this right here is our most important test, at least I would say, because it proves that the cache really cleans up after itself and does not really serve outdated tax rates. And this time when we create this cache, we intentionally create a cache with a very short TTL of just 1 second. So we say let mod cache is equal to tax cache new one, and then we say cache set rate, let's just say taxes, for instance, to string, and then we will say 0.0625. Now we are going to use thread sleep, which is kind of unconventional, but it will serve the purpose for now. And you will actually see a problem with this solution of a unit test later on. And then we will just sleep for, let's just say 2 seconds to be safe right here. Right, so we are going to use thread sleep to just pause our test program for 2 seconds. And this simulates time passing in the real world, pushing us past that 1 second expiration window. All right, and then we try to retrieve the taxes rate again. So we can say assert equal and then cache get rate tx, for instance, and then we'll say none. And what you could also do is you could add a kind of error description, right? So you could say cache must expire stale tax rates. Now let's just format this quickly. And because 2 seconds have passed now, the cache should recognize the entry is stale, silently remove it behind the scenes and return none, and this is what we expect. And we also include this custom error message right here just in case the test fails, because by default it just prints the values of A and B to show they didn't really match. But really, failure can sometimes be hard to track down, and that's why we use a custom error message right here. Now this argument just acts exactly like Rust's format macro, so we can also add curly braces inside that string to just inject variables, for instance. All right, and with that out of the way, let's just also test the happy path, right? So we want to show kind of the happy path for missing data. So let's just declare another unit test, and then we say fn test cache handles missing keys. Right, quite easy. Let's just declare the cache right here, new, and then 60 again. And here the general question is what happens when we ask for a region that hasn't been cached yet. So we say assert equal cache.get rate, and then let's just say California, right? We expect none right here. So we ask for California, but we really never inserted it. And the cache should gracefully return none rather than crashing or panicking. Now we can run these unit tests by just hitting cargo test. And what you will actually see is a stale unit test basically that just waits for 2 real life seconds. However, all the tests pass, and this is really cool and obviously expected. We can, just for testing purposes, see if it really fails. So let's just say instead of waiting 2 seconds, we will not wait any second. So let's just run this again, and what we will see is a failed test case, right? And we can actually see that the cache must expire stale tax rates as the error message, and then we see the left value and also the right value. So let's just fix this by just uncommenting the thread sleep right here. Now we will improve this unit test right here in the future, because I will make a separate video about basically adding a kind of fake clock to our unit test in Rust, so we don't really have to wait 2 seconds, for instance, right? Because right now this is really bad design, and this shouldn't be really in a unit test, because unit tests should generally be really fast and we should not really wait 2 seconds. But we will fix this in the future. And that's all for now, and these are the basic principles you need to understand to basically start writing unit tests in Rust. Now, if you're interested in how closures work in Rust, feel free to check out this video right here. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, have a lovely day, and bye bye.